Going in. All right.
Andy, can you take a photo of the whole?
Yes, of course I could. Yes, I'm gonna take a screen capture right now, really quick. All right, everybody. All right, one more time. All right. Ready? One, two, and three. Awesome. Perfect.
You guys can see the PowerPoint okay?
Yeah.
I
Perfect.
think
Okay.
we have attendees can see us, so we can start.
Okay, great. Awesome. So, welcome everybody. Thank you all for joining in at the 6 p.m. Webinar. My name is Andy Rodriguez, the organizing manager here at Golden State Opportunity. We are a nonprofit dedicated to economic justice, making sure Californians, especially working families, get access to resources, tax credits, and opportunities they deserve. Tax season can feel overwhelming, but this is the good news that you're not alone. This webinar is really all about empowering you with the knowledge so that you can make the most out of your tax return and access the credits you've earned. We know that many of you submitted questions in advance, and while we can't answer all of them today, we definitely appreciate your input. Assemblymember Lee and Ortega will be handling those questions separately, so stay tuned for more details from them. And while we can't provide specific individual tax advice, for today's webinar, we're going to be covering key tax credits, such as the California Earned Income Tax Credit, the Young Child Tax Credit, the Foster Youth Tax Credit, and some of the other credits available to you. We do recognize that there are many credits out there, but just in advance, we will be covering the ones that we fully support here at the organization. We're also going to be talking about free filing options with our partner at United Way of Bay Area, and also ways to get to get you the help that you need. So take notes, ask general questions in the chat, and we'll get started. And I will be passing it on to Assemblymember Lee.
Well, hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this workshop. Welcome to the CalEITC webinar that's jointly hosted by myself and Assemblymember Liz Ortega, as well as the Golden State Opportunity. Assemblymember Ortega sends her regrets as she's not able to join us tonight, and she thanks everyone for participating in this webinar. I'm Assemblymember Alex Lee. I represent the 24th District, which includes Milpitas, Fremont, Newark, San Jose, and Sunol. So if you live in that area, I'm your assembly member. But I hope that this workshop will be helpful for you to learn about the California Earned Income Tax Credit, how to file your taxes for free, and maximizing your tax refunds. As we continue our work in our legislative and budget priorities in the state legislature, please let my office know what is most important to you and how we can be better there to assist you. We can also help in any way possible, especially if you want to call after the event. There will be time after this webinar for Q&A, but please ask any questions you have and feel free to reach out to either my office or Assemblymember Ortega's office if you need additional assistance. And in case you miss any part of the workshop or would like to rewatch or share it, we will have a recording posted on our website this week. Again, thanks so much for joining us. And now I'd like to introduce Amy Everett, president of the Golden State Opportunity, and her team from GSO and her staff from United Way Bay Area will be covering the important information that you are here for tonight. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Lee. And I just want to really express my gratitude to both you and Assemblywoman Liz Ortega for joining with us and partnering with us on this important webinar. And a big thank you to everyone who is joining us tonight. I know that people are really busy and there's a lot of places you could be right now, but I'm glad that you're joining us, especially because we are in the middle of tax season. And tax season can be really stressful. And we are here to help to try and make it a little bit easier. Every year, millions of Californians leave money on the table when they don't claim these tax credits. Both the state CalEITC and the federal EITC, the child tax credits, the foster youth tax credits. And we're here to make sure that you are not one of the people who leaves money on the table. We want you to claim it. To give you an idea of the scope of this program that is funded through the state of California, through the leadership of assembly members like Liz Ortega and Alex Lee, every year about $5.5 million working Californians claim about $10 billion. It's money you've already earned, and we're here to help make sure you get it put back in your pocket. And the beauty of some of what you're going to hear about tonight is that there's a lot of ways to get your taxes done that you don't have to spend any money on. I know our partners at the United Way Bay Area, led by Sophia, is going to talk to you about not only finding free tax prep and VITA programs, but also Direct File and CalFile and these other programs that exist to help you. Golden State Opportunity works from the Oregon border all the way down to Mexico, working with working families to ensure that we can create financial security for everybody. And on that note, let me now pass it over to my colleague, Malia, who's going to kick us off with information you can use. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here today. As you can see today, we're going to be talking about claiming your tax credits. And so for those of y'all who don't know, a tax credit is an amount of money that is subtracted from your taxes owed. It is not a loan. It is a benefit from the government.
This is one thing that I like to add, Emily, if you can go back. Many people, as I'm speaking with people all across the state, especially for those who are just fairly new to our tax system, this is very important. Knowing that these tax credits in the context of the U.S. makes total sense, but for a lot of people that are not born in the U.S. that are just coming and experiencing our tax system, it is definitely important for us to highlight that this is not a loan that you have to pay back, and it's something that you can claim based off of your earned income. So definitely something that we are definitely highlighting here.
Thank you, Andy. All right, so today we will learn about free, high-quality tax preparation services provided by trained professionals. So we'll go over who qualifies for the CalEITC, the EITC, and other credits. Also, we'll be going over how to claim your credits as well as where to find help filing your taxes. So we kind of went over briefly, but you may be asking, what is a tax credit and how does it work? A tax credit is money you get back from the government to help lower your taxes. Some credits give you a refund even if you owe no taxes. For example, if you owe $350 on your taxes and you qualify for the $1,000 Young Child Tax Credit, you could possibly get $650 back.
Yeah, and this is a very simple explanation of what a credit means. So, as we mentioned, some credits give you a refund and some of them don't. But either way, you still get some of the credit and benefit that is owed to you. So, this is just a very simple way for you to understand how tax credits work here in the U.S.
All right, so we have two different types of tax credits. We have the state tax credits, and then we also have the federal tax credits. So with the state tax credits, if you have a social security number or an I-10, you may qualify for the CalEITC and the YCTC, even though if you are an undocumented worker. And so that also means the CalEITC, the California Earned Income Tax Credit, as well as the Young Child Tax Credit and the Foster Youth Tax Credit. And then with federal tax credits, you can file with just your social security number, and that includes the Federal Earned Income Tax Credit as well as the Federal Child Tax Credit.
Yeah, and this is just a great visual for everyone to see that there are two different types of credits from two different branches of government, one at the state level, the other one at the federal level. And what I mentioned earlier, we won't be covering every single credit that exists, but we will be covering some of these credits that are available to you. So, we mentioned if you have a Social Security or an I-10 for the state of California, we are so grateful for the leadership in the state legislature. For those who may not qualify for Social Security, you may qualify for individual tax identification number, and with that number, you may be able to qualify for some of these credits at the state level, such as the CalEITC, the Young Child Tax Credit, and the Foster Youth Tax Credit. So, very simple. If you work and qualify as a low income, you may be eligible for multiple tax credits. So, as we always say, no Social Security, no problem. You can still apply. So this is such a great benefit for all of you who may be wondering about that question. So two different branches of government, two different requisites, but all with the same intention of providing you and your family the refunds and credits you need.
Thank you, Andy. All right, so California Earned Income Tax Credit, the CalEITC. So to qualify for this credit, you must earn less than $31,950 a year. You must also live in California for more than half the year. You have to also be over 18 years old and file with an I-10 or a social security number.
And now what's really great about the California Earned Income Tax Credit, and you're going to see once we start comparing the brother and sister at the federal level of the Earned Income Tax Credit, is that this is a fixed income threshold. As long as you earn under $32,000 a year, right? You live in California for more than half the year, and some of these other requirements, you qualify for this, tax credit. So again, if you're an I-10 holder or you have Social Security, no problem. You can qualify for some of these credits.
All right, so we also have the Young Child Tax Credit. If you qualify for the CalEITC and have a child under the age of 6, you can get up to $1,117, even with zero income. And that also includes filing with I-10. And then we
Actually, can you go back really quickly? Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to really discuss here is that the purpose of the child tax credit here in California is to provide financial relief to low-income families with young children, helping them to afford basic necessities like food, rent, and childcare. And so this credit is designed to support families with children under the age of 6 who qualify also for the California Earned Income Tax Credit. So it can provide the additional $1,117 in additional cash back. And really, the purpose of why it exists is because, raising a child is expensive. California recognizes that families with young children face very unique challenges, especially when it comes to finances. And this credit helps to reduce poverty and give children a stronger start in life, and that is very, very critical. So how this works is, like we mentioned, if you qualify for the California Earned Income Tax Credit and you have a child that's under 6, you automatically qualify for the Young Child Tax Credit. So it's extra money on top of your refund. And in the previous last year or two, even if you had zero income, um, you can still qualify for this Young Child Tax Credit. Please speak with your, tax professional to ensure that you're meeting all of the requirements. Other than that, it's a beautiful tax credit for young children and families.
All right, and then we also have the Foster Youth Tax Credit. This provides financial support to current and former foster youth. So, with this tax credit, you can gain up to $1,117 per eligible individual. You can also gain up to $2,234 for joint filers, and then you must qualify for the CalEITC. You have to also be from ages 18 to 25 at the end of the tax year. You must have been in California foster care at age 13 or older. Your foster care status needs to be verified. And then you can also file with I-10 or your Social Security.
That is great. And as mentioned by Malia, the foster youth tax credit in California is really designed to provide the financial support for young adults who have been in the foster care system. California recognizes that with this unique demographic, that there are very unique challenges that foster youth face when aging out of the system, and can provide them with up to $1,117 to help with basic needs and necessities. And the other thing too is that this tax credit also encourages financial stability. It helps foster youth keep more of their earnings and reduce financial stress during a critical time in their lives. And so, this is another tax credit, again, championed by the California legislature to support this very unique population. And we are so happy that this tax credit exists for foster youth who are just aging out of the system.
All right, Andy, I'll pass it on to you.
All right, thank you so much. So I-10, as I mentioned, is short for Individual Tax Identification Number. So if you're a tax filer with an I-10, this includes undocumented workers. You can qualify for some of these state credits, and we definitely highlight each and every one of them because each and every one of them has a very, very unique purpose. As I mentioned, the purpose of the Young Child Tax Credit, the Foster Youth Tax Credit, and the California Earned Income Tax Credit. So, it's in the word there, California Earned Income Tax Credit. So, one of the critical things in order for you to qualify is you have to have earned, income throughout the year. And so, for those that perhaps do work throughout the year and have an I-10. The California does recognize all of your hard work and dedication, and hence the reason why some of these tax credits are available to you as a taxpayer. So we are again very proud of the leadership in the state in recognizing I-10 holders and them being able to access some of these tax credits. All right, we can go on to the next slide. All right, so we're going to talk about the federal earned income tax credit. So as we mentioned earlier, we were talking about the state credits and some of the requirements. Now we're going to move over onto the federal side. And so, for short, the EITC. So this is a refundable credit available to families and individuals. In order for you to qualify for the federal earned income tax credit, you must have a social security number for the person who's the recipient, and for any dependents, lived in the U.S. for more than half the year, be a U.S. citizen or resident all year, um, have to have been, between the ages of 25 and 65 or 18 with children. So this is very, very critical. This is the age bracket in which you can qualify. And so many people often ask, well, I'm 66 or 67 years old. Do I still qualify for the earned income tax credit? Unfortunately, you don't. It's something that it's seen and overseen by the federal legislators, but this is the critical age in which you can qualify, and you must have had earned income within limits, which we're going to cover shortly. So we can move on to the next slide. All right. So very similar to the Young Child Tax Credit, you're going to see a lot of similarities here. There's also the federal child tax credit at the federal level. And so the purpose of the child tax credit is to provide financial support for taxpayers with children. So, this can be up to 2,000 per qualifying child, of which 1,600 is refundable. So the eligibility must have been under the age of 17 at the end of the tax year. You must have a relationship, with a child, a sibling, or a descendant of any of these, whether that be a grandchild, a niece, a nephew, in order for them to qualify. Uh, the child of which you are claiming cannot provide more than half of their own support, meaning that, you cannot claim them as dependents. So there is a specific definition on what a dependent means. That means they're depending on you in order for them to, live, the lifestyle that they are, under you. And so that is very, very critical. So they do have to be a dependent. They have to depend on you. The other is that the child must live with the taxpayer for more than half the year. The child must be claimed as a dependent on the taxpayer's return, as I mentioned earlier, and child cannot file a joint return for the year. There's some exceptions on there, but this is kind of mainly some of the eligibility requirements for the federal child tax rate. So as I mentioned, there is a very unique purpose as to why you are going to be filing for the child tax credit. Again, this is really to support you as a taxpayer with children. And it's great credit for any struggling families. We can move on to the next slide. All right. So this is a nice little graph that I always like to show. So it's the adjusted gross income limits. What does this mean? So on the left-hand side, we're looking at the children. If you see 0, 1, 2, 3, and plus. Right in the middle, we're seeing filing as single, head of household, or widowed. You're going to see some income limits there, and then filing as married, meaning you're filing jointly together. And this graph is a very critical graph for you to understand what some of these income limits are. So as I mentioned earlier, the California Earned Income Tax Credit, it's a very simple threshold, meaning if you earn under $32,000 and you qualify for some of the other requirements, you qualify for this tax credit. However, on the federal side, if you're starting to notice, depending on how you file, whether you file single, head of household, or widow, these are your income thresholds. Meaning that if you earned over the 18,591, unfortunately, some of these credits, have their limit. And so, if you have a child, one child, the income threshold actually almost doubles to 49,084. And if you have two children, that income threshold again rises up to $55,768. And if you have three or more children, that goes up to nearly $60,000. That changes if you're filing, as married or filing married jointly. The income thresholds really do change. So if you have no children and both of you are filing, the income threshold goes up to 25,511. If you have one child, it goes up to 56,000 with $4. And if you have two children, it goes up to 62,688. And three or more, it goes up to 66,819. So really, these tax credit really depends on the family size and status. So for example, if a single filer with no children, can earn up to 632, while a married couple with three children can earn up to $7,830 in refunds. So, you can have earned more than 11,600 in investment income in the year. This is very, very critical. We don't come up with the requirements, the federal government does, but if you have, some sort of investment income, it cannot be more than the $11,600 of the income towards investment in order for you to qualify for these credits. So many of you may have some questions with respect to this. No worries. We'll be sending out this PowerPoint slide post the webinar. So we can move on to the next slide. So as I mentioned earlier, investment income, there is a limit. It's got to be under the $11,600. And I think this might be great news for some of you, for the maximum credit amounts. So if you have no qualifying children, you can, get as much as $632. If you have one qualifying child, you can get up to $4,213. If you have two qualifying children, you can get up to, close to $7,000. And then if you have three or more qualifying children, you can get up to $7,830. So, times are tough right now. And that's why this webinar is so important. And I like to always stop here because this is how much money sometimes people leave on the table. And it's critical money right now when things are just so high, especially with rent, groceries. People are just living day to day. And so tax time, while it can be very nerve-wracking for a lot of folks, some of these credits really do help give a beacon of hope, a beacon of light for a lot of people who may be dealing with some financial distress. So, very good news on some of what these credit amounts can give you as a taxpayer. And if you have children, well, even better. So we can move on to the next slide. All right. One of my favorite graphs here to show because it kind of puts into perspective some of these credits. As I mentioned, we have both on the state side, which is the green, columns, and then the blue. So if you remember, we have two different requirements for both the state and the federal. And so on this graph, what you'll see is again the qualifying children on the left hand side, 0, 1, 2, 3, 3 plus, and then the California maximum income that you need to earn in order for you to basically qualify for the California Earned Income Tax Credit. So if you see here, the maximum income on your left-hand side, it stays very steady under 32,000 as compared to the previous graph where I had shown you, where it changes depending on your, how you file and depending on the number of children that you have. So it very much changes. But let's assume that you are under this threshold, under $32,000. And let's assume that you, have all of the requirements for both the state and the federal. You could earn, let's say you have two children, you can earn up to $3,232. And let's say, within those two children, one of them is under the age of 6, that's an additional $1,154. And then, on the federal side, federal earned income tax credit, you have an additional of up to, $6,960 plus the, 4,000. So, there's a lot of, good money here, and some of it again, is refundable. So some of these credits, again, they have a purpose, for you as a taxpayer. So I'm always quite happy to see this graph because people, just get excited and they can visually see what they can qualify for. So this is just an amazing graphic that I like to show, but this just shows you, what you can qualify for. And let's move on to the next slide. So again, if you want to learn more, get some information around the tax credits, I-10, you still have questions about whether I qualify or not, you can basically download PDFs on our site, which is called CaliforniaEarnedIncomeTaxCredit.org, or short for CalEITC.org. The QR codes are there, so if you're on your phone, you can basically scan the QR code. It's going to take you to our website, and there's a whole bunch of information about how to file, where to file, the different options to file, and all of that. So we can move on to the next slide. So, if you want the latest news and support, visit us at CalEITC.org. Also follow us on Facebook and Instagram at CalEITCforme.org, or just sign up, and we can update you on all of the great news that we have on our end. And then we have our information here for all of you in our next slide. So if you want to contact us directly via email, we are more than happy to support you in any way. And I'll hand it off to you, Sophia, from United Way of Bay Area. So, Sophia.
Yes. Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, right? You could be anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us tonight. So I'm going to be talking about how to file your taxes for free, right? We just heard about all these amazing tax credits, and we want to make sure you're able to get them, and we want to make sure that everyone who qualifies for our services gets to use them and doesn't have to go and pay for a preparer when you can just keep that money in your pocket. So our program nationally is known as the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, VITA, but you will also hear me refer to us as Free Tax Help. Nationally, the IRS calls us VITA. We are the Free Tax Help Coalition. I think it's a little clearer, but nonetheless, we do the same thing, right? We provide free tax help to the community. All right. So what is VITA? VITA was a program that was created over 50 years ago, essentially to be able to help earned income tax claimers claim that credit and get to claim it for free. That was its original design. But we serve all sorts of folks, right? Not just earned income tax claimers. We do focus on families with children, people with disability, taxpayers living below the poverty line. And we also work with taxpayers who speak all sorts of different kinds of languages. We want to be able to communicate with our community in the ways that they feel most comfortable and are able to understand. And so our official income limit for this year is $68,000. However, that is not a hard limit. That is a limit set by the IRS nationally. But as it says, right, it is here to serve low to moderate income individuals. And we know that in the Bay Area, what a moderate income individual is going to be different than in perhaps, some other very low cost of living states. So sites may be able to work with you. We do not, we aren't able to say like a hard limit as far as like, well, but it depends on your situation. It depends on the site, but I don't want somebody to be discouraged because they make 69,000, right? Most folks will still be able to serve you, and we have other options available as well if a site is not able to. All right. So VITA services, right, are taxes that are prepared through volunteer, right? VITA stands with Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. All our volunteers are trained and certified. They have to take certification tests that are mandated by the IRS. And because, right, we do taxes within a certain scope, so we can't necessarily do every single, right, kind of tax return that comes through our door. But most folks we are able to serve, but we cannot do things like, for example, if you have a business loss, if you spent more money on your business than you made, right? Or if you own property and you get rental income, that is not something that we're able to help you with as well. But we do serve people who are self-employed, whether that's an independent contractor. Usually, for example, we see a lot of maybe people who paint houses or are housekeepers. Definitely see a lot of gig economy workers. We're able to assist folks with education and healthcare expenses. People with an I-10, we know that we mentioned that earlier, right? It's the individual tax identification number. Health insurance through Covered California, and many others as well. Okay, so here in the Free Tax Help Coalition, we are in 8 counties of the Bay Area, and we partner with over 100 organizations. These things include nonprofits, right? City and government agencies, credit union, churches, libraries, colleges, K-12 school, right? Really somewhere where the community already has a trusted relationship. We know that taxes can kind of be scary, right? You're giving folks a lot of information, but we want to make sure that we are, you're in good hands. And we want to go to where the people are at. And we speak many different languages, and we're able to serve people who in the languages that they're most comfortable with. If we don't have you speak a language that we may not have a person on site that speaks, we also have translation services available over the phone. All right. And so we have several kinds of different operation models. We do have our in-person sites, right? Same day tax preparation. I like to call that traditional VITA site. And in that site, you would come on site. You would get your taxes prepared. All our taxes are seen by 2 sets of taxpayers, right? 2 sets of eyes are looking at it. So you meet with a tax preparer, they prepare your taxes. And then you meet with another tax preparer, which we call the quality reviewer, just to make sure that everything is correct. Then we would go ahead and print it, you would sign it, and we would file it for you, right? Just sort of a one and done operation. Our other in-person options are a drop-off with remote tax preparation. So in this scenario, you would go to a site, right? You would drop off your documents, they would check off your identification and such, and then they would call you, and you would be doing the tax return remotely. They would get all that information, and then you would come back to the site, sign it, and then it would go ahead and get filed right for you. We also have online services. So if you do not You know, you can do taxes from the comfort of your own home. We do have a secure server where you can upload your documents. A tax preparer will call you. You would do the review over the phone, and then once your return is prepared, you can retrieve it online and you would sign virtually. And then lastly, we have our do-it-yourself taxes, what I like to call DIY taxes. That's self-filing. So in this case, you could sign up for one of our events. They can be online or in person. Right now we have them online. Some sites may have them in person as well. And this is really good for someone who maybe wants to learn how to do their own taxes, but wants a little bit of help. So you'd be able to come to one of our Zoom sessions. You would receive a free link to our software, as well as a screenshot guide. And if you have any questions, we could pair you with a volunteer in a breakout room where you could share your screen and you know, maybe hold documents up to the camera, and they would be able to assist you with any questions that are within our scope. All right. So once you come to our FIDA sites, right, we are going to need a photo ID for each filer on the tax return, right? So if it's a married couple, we're going to need to see both spouses would need to be present, and we would need to see IDs and socials or I-10s from both people. For dependents, right, children, we would need the Social Security card or I-10 for each person on the return. And then we would ask that you bring anything the IRS sends you, right? W-2s, 1099s, whether that is 1099s NEC for maybe some independent contracting work you might have done. You know, there's many other forms. There's education forms, such as a 1098-T. But so essentially anything that the IRS sends you, bring it on over. We also, right, we're asking about info on healthcare coverage. There's various healthcare coverage forms. We would want to see that, especially, right, if you bought health insurance through Covered California. Also, if you have self-employment, we would ask that, right, you bring a record of all of your expenses so that we're able to do your tax return fully and accurately. We're able to have a record of what you spent. It is always really important to keep receipts, keep a log, and be able to sort of know what you spent money on so we know what you can deduct. And then if you have last year's tax return, it's always great if you can bring that as well. And then lastly, your bank account information and routing numbers. So for direct deposit, I personally strongly suggest getting your return direct deposited if you can. It is a much faster way of getting your tax return. We also have savings options. So we have savings raffles. So if you want to bring your savings account, we have a raffle that you can be entered in. If you save $25 of your return, you are eligible to win a $50 electronic Visa gift card entered into a raffle. So those are once a week winners, and we just want to encourage folks to save. We know that tax time is a really good time to save because you're getting, right, your refund, a big chunk of money at one time, and we just want to encourage that as well. Right. So now I want to talk about the UWBA Free Tax Help website. It is, right, available in multiple languages. There is a website. It has all the up-to-date information. There is a map you can filter, right? You can filter it by language. You can filter it by day of the week, right? We have sites that are open. We have, right, 90, 100 plus sites, and they are open various hours, right? Some sites are open Monday through Friday, regular 9 to 5 hours. Some have evening hours, some have weekend hours, and you can search by the hours. We also have our links to online filing as well as online DIY. You know, I did mention our DIY option. The IRS also has free filing options, and we have links to that as well. And then if you don't want to look at our map, we also have just a linked spreadsheet with all the information that you would want to know. If you want to know, right, the location, the hours, how to make an appointment. Some of our sites are appointment only. Some of our sites are walk-in. Some of our sites are appointment only, but walk-in if there's a space available. It also lists things that you might want to know about parking, transportation, right? Are you close to a BART stop? Really want to try to offer you all the information we have, and we have it available right in multiple languages to be able to meet the community needs. And then we can go to the next slide, actually. All right, so I did mention you can look at our website, and you can also, if you would like, you can call 211. And the IRS and the FTB, the Franchise Tax Board, also has locators on their website. We are promoting the Bay Area because that's where we're at. That's what we do. But there's sites all over the state, all over the country. You might know people who live in other places, and we want you to be able to tell them about it as well. So, you know, you can go to our website, or there's other options available for you. And we just really want to be able to make sure that you're claiming those valuable tax credits that you're owed, that you're getting back that money that you earned, and that you're able to get your tax return prepared for free, right? Because sometimes you might say, well, like, I'm not getting a refund, I'm going to have to pay. But at least you are able to save, right? A few $100s that might have gone to a paid tax preparer, and be able to keep that money in your pocket. So that is all I have for now. Tax season is here. If you have any questions, you can email us at taxhelp@uwba.org.
All right. Thank you so much, Sophia. So that is really awesome, amazing, critical information for all of you. So Sophia and the team at United Way of the Bay Area are doing such an amazing job at just making sure that this information gets out to you. So, like I mentioned in the start of our webinar, I know this is perhaps a very, very, anxious time, but, but just know you're not alone. We are here to support and answer any questions. So as I mentioned, we did receive some questions in advance, and we won't be able to answer all of them, unfortunately, since it falls out of scope, out of the work that we do. But I know that Sophia just covered some of the documents needed for tax filing, which was a question that was asked by us, by you, with respect to this here. So Sophia, is it possible we can go back to the slide of the documents that people need? I just want to cover that really quickly. Okay, great. So for, just going back to what Sophia did mention, all of these documents are very, very, very critical, very, very important. And so these documents really, it's really about reporting your income, but it's also making sure that you're able to get every credit, deduction, and refund. So, your Social Security or I-10, your W-2 forms, 1099s. So if you did some gig work, if you did some Uber, Lyft, freelance workers, or any side jobs, this form is going to report how much you made. So you may, and just so that you know, you may need to set some money aside for taxes if none were withheld. So very, very critical information. And I know Sophie also mentioned too, direct deposit information. So, it really does help get your refund faster, but if you prefer, something being mailed to you, that's also an option as well. And anything that is, direct deposit, you usually get it around approximately under about 21 days or so if you e-file. And so the other forms that are very, very critical, to help lower your tax bill or increase your refund is any education expenses, if you had, or any mortgage interest, any childcare provider information. So if you paid for childcare while working or studying or whatever that might be, there may be a credit that you may be owed or qualified for. And perhaps any letters from the IRS, so that they can get a full picture of kind of what is going on. And any other important forms, such as the, health insurance form. So if you had any or if you had covered California insurance, you know, it's a very, very important form for you to bring. So all of these forms really help to kind of get a full picture of you as a taxpayer and independent, so that you can get the maximum tax refund, as well as you know, claiming any eligible credits and avoiding any delays or you know, any errors being committed. So you know, as Sophia mentioned, there are you know, two people that ensure that whatever you're submitting is done accurately. So that is super awesome, super great. One of the other questions that was asked by some of you um, is let me just double check. Filing back taxes for 2022 and 2023. So the quick answer to that is, you know, for the most part, you can e-file for 2022 and 2023 through the IRS free file or through a Vitus site, as long as you meet those income requirements that was mentioned. But anything older than that must be mailed. So, you know, it's something important for you to know. Um, the other question is contacting the franchise tax board. Um, we do recognize that there are long wait times, and perhaps you may be calling. We are so sorry to hear that you're going through that. But you know, rest assured that there are many different ways how you can get in contact with them. So you know, there is a number which is the 1-800-852-5711. Really do expect long wait times. However, there are some chats available where you can send them a quick chat and figure out your status there via the website www.ftb.ca.gov. So that is one way in which you know, you can get in contact with them. The other question is if this webinar was going to be available in Spanish, if there's going to be Spanish interpretation. Unfortunately, as you heard, it's all in English. And so hopefully in the near future, we can make one available for in Spanish as well. The other question is the free tax filing options. I know Sophia did mention, is it possible if you can reiterate that again? Like, what are some of the tax filing options available?
Sure. Yes, sure. You know what? I will go ahead and, if possible, I can share my screen and
Yes,
I
of
can
course.
go over our website so I can go over some of the free filing options. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Does everyone see my website?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is what it looks like, right? And then you would just scroll down and we can look at our free filing options. So the first thing we have available, right, is our self-prep online. So if you want to prepare your own taxes and you want to do it for free, I know that there are paid like taxpayer softwares or tax preparation softwares or tax preparation softwares that claim to be free but might want to upsell you or want to make you pay for something that you don't want to pay for it if you can use our services that are completely free. So we have on our website, we have two options available, right? And if you want to look, right, we have our IRS direct file. So this is new. This was piloted last year, and now it is a permanent or it is nationwide, right? It was piloted in a few states, including California, and it was very successful. And I think it's been even improved on since then. And so, and then we have our tax layer through UWBA, and just comparing, right, what works best for you and what does not. And so if we look at the income limit for IRS direct file, it is $200,000 for a single individual and $250,000 for a married filing jointly. Our tax layer through UWA is $84,000, so you know, much lower, but still you know, still useful for those who make under 84,000. They for the IRS direct file, it would, for folks who are non-residents, international student returns, that would be out of their scope. But through our tax layer through your WBA, that is within our scope. For the IRS, right, they only take certain kinds of forms like W-2, income, interest, unemployment, and other types of income. They're not allowed to use, but we have no restriction on income type with our TaxSlayer software. For support, you have with Direct File, you have a live chat with IRS staff, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, so pretty wide range of hours. And for us, you will have Zoom support with UWBA staff, right? Or UWBA staff or volunteers aren't able to help you prepare, right? You can talk face-to-face to an individual over Zoom. So kind of face-to-face, but and then mobile friendly. The IRS Direct File is mobile friendly, so you can upload everything. You can, put everything in what you need to do through your phone. Our TaxSlayer software is not that mobile friendly, so that is that's probably a bigger perk for IRS Direct File. And then for state filing, you can use California's free filing tool to be able to file your state return, and our filing tool is just integrated within the website. So those are our self-filing options, and really want to encourage those who want to self-file, right, to use one of these options that are completely free and offer assistance. And then we also have virtual help that you can file. It can take you to our this will take you to be able to attend some of our events. These are our Zoom events to do DIY taxes or self-filing, I should say. And then we have remote assistance. So that is our online tax filing, get your refund. And then lastly, we have our in-person sites. And you can see a spreadsheet of all our in-person sites. It's organized by county, and it has all the information that you might need, the type of site it is, in-person, drop-off, virtual, dates, times, all that good stuff, how to make an appointment, and then the notes, right? And then if you want to use our map, our handy dandy searchable map, it has you can put a zip code in, and you can do it that way. If you wanted to, you can only go on Saturday. So you want to click Saturday, the ones that are open on Saturday will pop up. Sunday, the same thing. If languages, right, you want a site that has your Cantonese speaker, and they will pop up. So want to try to find a site that works for you, the time, the date, the location, the language. Really, we want to serve as wide of a range as people. And if you visit this website, you're able to find that for yourself. And if you have questions, you could always email us, or you could call 211 as well.
Wow, such a great resource, Sophia, there at United Way of Bay Area. Wonderful work that y'all are doing. I love the fact that it is multilingual and there's so many options for people. So that is great. I love that. So some of the other questions that were asked, I know we have a few minutes and then we'll do a quick outro. But there's a question about reporting lottery and game show winnings. So do I need to report that? Yes. So you must report winnings as income. There is a federal tax form in which you would do that. So please make sure that you are reporting any winnings as income. And the other question is, why don't disabled adult dependents qualify for the earned income tax credit? So the earned income tax credit requires dependents to be under the age of 19 or 24 if you're a full-time student. And then there are so speak with your tax, representative. You can also schedule an appointment with United Way of Bay Area, and they'll be able to look at more your situation with what that means. And do I qualify for free tax preparation if I make over 110,000? And what's the answer, Sophia? If you make over 110,000?
Well, we have our IRS Direct File, which goes up to 200,000. And like I said, it varies site to site. We don't have a hard limit. So it's kind of hard for me to answer. 110,000, I will say, is higher than we normally go. But for example, if it's 110,000 and you have like 5 children and there is, you know, maybe health issues, like, right, you want to like think about the full picture. I will say, while we don't have a hard limit, most sites might not take someone who makes that high of an income. Not if you're a single individual, that
Yeah.
would be much too high as a single individual and a little too high probably but we also, right, we have our IRS direct file, so that is an option as well.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much, Sophia, for that. And so if it's with United Way of the Bay Area or any other location, please call. Let them know what your situation is and your income. See if they can assist you with it. If not, then there are other routes available for you. And then the final questions that were asked is, can I claim business expense and tax credits? So self-employed filers can definitely deduct business expenses. The form is called a Schedule C. So please make sure to work with your tax preparer um, to help you how to best fill that out. And then some tax credits do apply, like the self-employed health insurance deduction and things like that. So please make sure to speak with your tax professional to better help you with that. Um, and um, and yeah, so I think those are some of the general questions that were asked. And so we will definitely be routing some of the other questions that unfortunately are out of our scope. Any final thoughts, Sophia and Malia, before we end this webinar?
I don't have anything besides thanking those who stayed till the end and who were able to join us tonight. We appreciate you guys being in attendance.
Yeah, no, just really grateful to be able to share this information. I hope to see some of you at one of our tax sites this tax season or next.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Malia and Sophia. And thank you all of you for joining us today. We know that tax season can feel definitely overwhelming. And, like I mentioned earlier, you are not alone. And so, by learning about these wonderful tax credits and the filing options that are for free, you are definitely taking an important step toward keeping more of your hard-earned money and strengthening your financial future. So that is very, very critical. A huge thank you to Assemblymember Lee and Ortega for their leadership in ensuring that Californians have access to support that they need. And a special shout out again to Sophia from United Way for her dedication to connecting, all of us with the free tax preparation services in the Bay Area and for walking us through the amazing website that you have. Now, let's take this time to acknowledge each and every one of you. Please share with all of your communities. So if you know of someone who could, benefit from, free tax preparation, encourage them to check out, the website that was just recently shared and, the CalEITC.org website and any other resources, because we never know. This might be, a good year for them in which they could get a refund. We just don't know. What we don't want is for people to leave money on the table. That's what we don't want. So my message to all of you, stay informed, stay engaged, and thank you for being part of this movement for economic opportunity. Any final thoughts from Anurag and Karishma before we end?
Thank you. It's Anurag with the Assemblymember Lee's office. Just want to say one thing. If you have any issues with FTB, please contact our office. If you have any questions or issues with IRS, you can contact your congressman's office. We can get some help, get you some help quickly. That's about it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. The information will be available to each and every one of you, and have a blessed and wonderful night.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.